A very good evening to you. Thank you for making it a date with us here on the Uganda Catholic Television. Welcome aboard. It is Uctv News with me, Sunday Gloria Aboch. To start off with, the Uganda People's Congress Party has called for the immediate attention to the worrying health sector in the country while addressing a weekly party press conference at the Uganda House, Kampala. Jimmy Akena, the party president, disclosed that government has deliberately failed to improve the health sector, hence forcing the so-called well-off people to seek medical attention in other countries. Akena adds that the fallen Member of Parliament Cecilia Gwal and many others who died outside the country wouldn't have gone abroad if the health sector was well equipped. He noted that the poor health sector also forces good and highly trained, qualified doctors to seek for better opportunities, which ends up leaving the country in a loss of income from both the doctors and patients.
In the 90s, to overcome the problems of not being able to run a political party according to its constitution, the party president formed what was called the Presidential Policy Commission, which Cecilia Gwal chaired. Effectively, what it meant was the party president shared his powers with the Presidential Policy Commission in that they could act as a presidency in the absence of the ability for the party to be able to sit down and to handle the day-to-day matters. This Presidential Policy Commission was in place where in 1993, before the Constituent Assembly Bill came, there was a bill which was called the Political Parties Bill. And I would urge members of the press, if you are able to do research, look at the Uganda Gazette. There was a bill which was issued in 1993 called the Political Parties Bill. This bill was basically word for word the decree number 14 of 1971 issued by the main government, which outlawed political party activities. UPC at that time took that matter to court. The courts ruled that this is not a law, because the bill obviously is not yet a law, but this was the intention of the government. Of course, what followed was the Constituent Assembly bill, which was passed as a statute, and that is where the same system which did not allow political parties to operate took place. Some members of UPC were encouraged to participate and to put our position on record. I also recognize the contribution of Cecilia Gwal with other nationalists who tried to put on place the proper way forward for where the party should have gone. Unfortunately, those voices were ignored, and we ended up in a situation whereby political parties could not freely operate, and as such, I feel that we had a deficit. Another attribute which I can give to the Cecilia Gwal, who I knew, she was a very determined personality. What many of you may not know is that she tried to contest for a parliamentary seat in 1980, was not successful in the primaries, was able to raise concern. The primaries were repeated, it still did not work. It is not until the party president assured her that there's other duties which can be done outside of parliament. But her determination to be in parliament continued, and when she got to parliament, her record is readily available. Her contributions have been, over the years, clear and sober. As you heard in parliament, the budget committee without Cecilia Gwal is going to be something which may lack a certain flavor. Because of that, she would struggle to be thorough and raised a lot of concerns. I also recall, after the passing of Olanya, there was concern that we did not have that PET, is it called, for early detection of cancer. And one of the issues which Cecilia well pushed is that we must have it urgently, because Olanya obviously was a victim of cancer. Little did we know that Cecilia well was herself at that time having pancreatic cancer, which was to play a serious role in her passing. As a member of Uganda People's Congress and a leader in this country, it is clear that we must do more to strengthen our health services to deal with such matters. Each time we're having this crisis, we're rushing abroad at the last moment, but a PET scan can be able to determine much earlier and give us the right interventions. I hope that those who are charged with the health, maintaining the health of the citizens of Uganda, can take due notice and not wait for another crisis where we start to talk again, but soon thereafter we forget what took place. In 2004, Cecilia Wall came to Lusaka, accompanied by two MPs, the late Aniro Gutmoy and Tom Ondura Nang, but also with party leaders, the then chairman of Apache District, UPC Apache District, Naftali Kali, and the UPC Lira District, Yakobua, and Reverend Opola Pello, who was a big figure in the context. And we had a long meeting to try and settle issues. To cut the story short, at the end of that meeting, where I was a joint secretary with Tom Ondura Nang, Cecilia Gwal was appointed as the national mobilizer. And the hatchet was basically being buried that we would work together to prepare in the hope that we'll get our multi-party democracy ahead of time. Unfortunately, events took a different turn. We lost our then party president, Milton Obote, and within the party we had some different contradictions which ended up us going in separate directions.
Now, the Men's Forum Against Domestic Violence in Uganda, MVADVU, a civil society organization advocating for men's rights, has suggested for the establishment of a policy guiding judges and magistrates handling marriage-related cases. Robert Ndaula, the Men's Forum Against Domestic Violence Deputy Executive Director, says they have discovered that many of the magistrates have failed to fairly handle these cases, since most of them have never engaged into marriages and have no experience of the challenges married couples go through.
We have major concerns and observations that we have made last year, 2023, and we would like to share them with the Ugandans. There was an increase, there was a soar in divorce cases across the country. 60% of these cases are attributed to domestic conflict over family wealth and property ownership. An observation that we made, and we are going to chart a way forward. Number two, there was also a notable increase in the number of female parents, spouses, accusing their male spouses on matters related with child neglect. Regardless of whether these cases have been reported or not, it is a problem that we are grappling with as a country. And 34 of such cases last year were reported to our office in Najjana Nkumbi, which we tried to amicably solve, and things were restored to normal. In this, however, we noted from our finding that some of these female spouses reported these cases on simple castigation, trying to castigate their husbands for selfish interests. And for such cases that we discovered, we called in the men, sat down with them, the fathers, the husbands to these people, and tried to enter deep in some of these cases. And we are proud to say that these cases have been finally solved and resolved. There is still a high number of men who fail to disclose GBV. Despite our efforts, there are still those men who still feel they can use their preponderant power to solve crises in their homes. In every 10 men that we interviewed facing GBV, we discovered that only 5 of them have reported this violence somewhere. And this points to one thing, that there is still a great job to be done. Men must be made to feel that reporting violence does not make them less of a man. It was observed also from our findings, from our research, that there is a tendency in different social spheres of people castigating fathers who attempt to seek DNA facilities. Many of these fathers are usually judged by society as having personality gaps or being sexually inept. This is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, we still encourage all fathers watching me today, wherever you are, who can afford DNA, to carry it out on your children. It is for your own good. We also encourage parents to register your children with the NIRA to obtain for them national IDs. Parents still on this very issue you should ensure, every parent watching me today, that when these children are being registered in the database of NIRA, correct information is captured so as to sort out certain problems that may arise in the future over their paternity and origin. Another observation that we made in 2023, there were many reported cases of stepchildren in families conniving with their mothers against their stepdads, their stepfathers. And in some isolated cases, such incidences resulted in the death of these fathers in question. Very absurd, very awful. The Uganda police reported last year that all civil society actors in the GBV space to integrate family dialogue and arbitration in their work methodologies. We believe, as opposed to condoning separation, civil society actors should work towards reconciling conflicting partners, because we believe as a forum that it is more rewarding to accumulate assets together as a family than dividing or sharing them. That is our humble plea to all civil society actors in this space. Let us integrate dialogue, let us integrate arbitration than condoning separation. Number 2, fathers' contributions to the family welfare are usually taken for granted. Fathers are usually taken for granted. After all, they are fathers and they should provide. Their contribution is usually taken for granted. Now, it is high time, dear Ugandans watching me today, that we recognize the role of those fathers that give in their best, their all, to ensure that their families' welfare is catered for. School fees, feeding, and other expenses. Let us recognize those fathers, other than castigating them. As a forum, this is the rationale upon which we instituted what we called the annual Father's Day celebration, that we have now marked for over 7 years. This celebration is celebrated on every 21st of June. And on such days, we recognize those outstanding fathers that have played a pivotal role in caregiving and raising up their children and looking after their families in general. We also believe that all men and women exposed to gender-based violence, whether educated or not, must now find it more convenient to disclose violence to relevant authorities, other than suffocating in silence. We are grateful to all of those actors, especially in government, our collaborators, the Ministry of Gender, and the civil society, that have created an enabling environment for reporting gender-based violence and for integrating psychosocial support and care in their work plans to all survivors of GBV. However, a lot still needs to be done in this space to bring down the prevalence of gender-based violence in Uganda. Now, I want this to be got very clearly. We came out and talked about DNA testing. I have also talked about it. And we received the same criticism from other actors in the civil society. But I would like to make it categorically clear. For a number of years, we have made it as a request, an official request, a plea to the government, especially the Parliament of Uganda, to debate, bring this bill in Parliament concerning DNA. We believe that DNA testing should be made compulsory at birth. I was here 3 times ago emphasizing this very same point, and I'm bringing it back. DNA testing should be made compulsory at birth to ascertain the right paternity of our children. I want to emphasize this. Kankasane mu Uganda. Ti omwana oluzaalibwa bw'ati be pa! Ajibweko omusaayi. Ajibweko DNA. Tusobole okutegeera obuzaalibwa obutuufu. The paternity. Such an important issue. We believe that once this is done, it will help to increase the fidelity in our homes. It will stabilize our families. And above all, it will reduce conflict among family members, especially which occurs at the death of one of the family members. Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen bodies being exhumed so that a DNA sample is taken. This should not be done at this level. Why do you disturb the peace of the dead by exhuming a body to take a DNA sample? And yet this person lived on earth for quite a good time before he passed on. So we believe that DNA testing can help us solve so many problems. On this, I would like to make this plea once again as I wind up to the government, to the members of Parliament watching me today. Let us bring this bill in Parliament. Let us discuss it. Let us find a way it can work. We ask the government to subsidize DNA, to make it more affordable, so that people can afford it.
Now, medical interns under their umbrella body, the Federation for Uganda Medical Interns, FUMI, have threatened to stage an industrial action starting February 1st, 2024 due to the government's failure to fulfill its pledges. Speaking to journalists at Mulago Guest House on Wednesday, FUMI President Bill Adrati revealed that on August 9th, 2021, the President directed that all medical interns should be paid 2.7 million shillings shillings, half of the 5.4 million shillings the senior doctors receive monthly. Drati stated that despite the directive, intern doctors are still earning 1 million shillings, significantly lower than the promised 2.7 million.
We communicate on behalf of and for all the medical interns in the country as resolved that an industrial action by laying down of tools shall commence effective 1st of February until the government clarifies its position on this illegality that has been contested by Ministry of Health by a breach of the presidential directive, and also to reinstate the directive that has been in implementation since July 2021. We are calling upon the legislators and the technocrats and the committee members and the executive to consider the forthcoming medical interns who are replacing us when the time of our deployment expires, July 2024. We do not want a situation where the government will act surprised that there's another cohort of medical interns coming. There's time and they need to plan. This deviation from the presidential directive represents 40% cut in the allowances of medical interns as directed and as it has been in implementation since 2021 July. And the justification for this and for our position to reinstate the directive and restore the 40% cut in the allowances as follows: that it is a matter of law and decent politics that the President's directive ought to be respected, honored, and implemented by the subordinates and the responsible authorities. That medical interns provide the bulk, over 60%, of medical, surgical, dentistry, nursing, midwifery, and pharmaceutical tasks at these facilities of deployment. And this demonstrates the critical gap the medical interns fill in healthcare service delivery. That maintaining half pay for medical interns saves the government costs of health service delivery, and that the government loses nothing but gains everything. Such environments which do not appreciate the level of services that this group of human resource offers, then very many will be left with no option but to opt for greener pastures out of the country. It will also promote quackery and the production of unpatriotic, demotivated, and unprofessional healthcare workers. Therefore, there is an opportunity to fix the future, and we call upon the government to organize all the relevant authorities to ensure that they respond decisively to reinstate the presidential directive.
And finally, in our local scene, the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Tororo has confirmed into the Catholic faith 1,450 Christians. The Christians who had spent close to 5 years undergoing catechetical instructions couldn't hide their excitement at last receiving the sacrament.
Jubilations and ululations were the order of the day in St. Kizito Catholic Church, Paya, in Tororo district, as thousands of Christians gathered to witness the confirmation into the Catholic faith of over 1,000 Christians. The celebration was presided over by the Metropolitan Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Tororo, the Most Reverend Emmanuel Obo, who encouraged the young Christians to guard jealously the Christian values they had received. Obo decried the negligence by some parents in exercising their parental roles today, citing an increase in alcoholism and other vices in the community. I have been told that women and men both go to drink in the joints and come back late in the night. But how will the children eat? You know you have children, but you wrongly make these children orphans even when you are still alive. God has blessed you with children so that you raise them well. That bishop also encouraged communal upbringing of children, calling upon all stakeholders to interest themselves with the growth of children. I have asked these questions because the proper upbringing of a child is dependent on the role of the family, the neighbors, and godparents, who all help the child to grow in Christian life. Sarah Acheng Opendi, the woman member of parliament for Tororo district, who was in attendance of the same celebration, said that the Archbishop's worry about alcoholism in communities will be totally curbed once her alcohol control bill becomes an act of parliament and is then passed into law.
And His Grace the Archbishop gave an excellent message, specifically to the parents, to be responsible parents and take good care of the children. It's a pity that we are seeing an increase in domestic violence in Tororo district, but also worse as a result of alcohol. Some of these parents do not spend time with their children. The parents are away from home right from morning, in the trading centers, some drinking, and yet they have no time to work and expect the women to be able to provide for the family. And this is partially the reason why I was moved into coming up with the alcohol control bill, which is now before the Health Committee, and we hope that we can be able to have this bill becoming an act of parliament so that people can consume alcohol after work, not from morning as it is up to morning.
Opendi, who has also drafted another bill about marriage, said that her marriage bill will compel Christians to marry in church.
A number of people are in the community living together as husband and wife, but when they are not legally married, His Grace the Archbishop said he would be back to ensure that couples are wedded in church. So this is also part of the reason why I have brought the marriage bill, to be able to compel people to either marry customarily or marry in church or marry according to the government, which is the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, that has been registering those state marriages. So married couples must be registered, not living in a cohabiting relationship or cohabiting. So I hope that this bill can also become law, and fortunately the community supports both bills.
This year's confirmation, which we saw 1,450 confirmed into the Catholic faith, is the first to be held in St. Kizito Catholic Parish, Paya, ever since the parish's creation from Nagongora Parish 7 years ago. And the candidates who underwent thorough training and catechesis promised to defend the faith.
My name is Adikini Samantha Martha. I'm one of the candidates who have been confirmed today. Confirmation is a sacrament by which we receive the Holy Spirit in order to become strong and perfect Christians and soldiers of Christ. To be a soldier of Christ means you have to defend your faith. To my fellow confirmants, I'd like you to spread the light of Christ throughout the world by showing a good example to others and encouraging those who have not received confirmation to start the instructions as soon as possible.
Aloysia Sopio, Uctv, Tororo.
Thank you for watching, and away from that to our segment Today in History. Let us take a look at it. Thank you for watching the Uganda Catholic Television. UCTV News takes a break and we'll be back shortly.
UCTV, good news for all.
Catch incredible stories of resilience, success.
You can manage that money.
With a topping of inspiration.
Get interested in people, not interested in yourself.
Inspire, achieve, repeat.
You are watching UCTV, good news for all. For this and more, tune in to Kasese Get Radio 100.5 in Western Region, located at the hill of the Diocese of Kasese. KGR brings you all Catholic programs and an advertising platform in all our radio shows like Good Morning Renzori, Chama Towoka, Ukute, the business show, Propeller, the request show and sports, Evaluation, Bahinga Bakuluka, Late Night Show, and many others. Our other services include Isuzu Tipa, a no car, public address system, live band, Omokekera, an audio recording studio, and outside live broadcast. For more information, call 0773-597-166 or visit our website www.kasesegetradio.com. Kasese Get Radio, Omusondoria, the voice of truth.
It's unbelievable. Now, companies, businesses, and organizations can make bulk payments easily with Centenary Bank's corporate center SWIFT to anyone without the need of a bank account, anywhere, anytime, just like that. The recipient needs only their phones, national ID, and token number received via SMS to withdraw money from any center agent nearby. The Centenary Bank's corporate center SWIFT is simple, secure, and convenient. You think it's too good to be true? Visit any of our branches countrywide or visit www.centenarybank.co.ug to know more. Centenary Bank. Centenary Bank is a member center group regulated by the Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits of up to 10 million shillings are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda. Terms and conditions apply.
UCTV, good news for all.
And with that, thank you for being a great audience. That's all we had for you. Do stay tuned to the Uganda Catholic Television. I'm Sunday Gloria Aboj, wishing you the best of the evening.